It is 7 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And roll call.
Marcus. Carlisle.
Councilman Wenzel alerted us he wouldn't be able to make it tonight. To Susan. Moved and seconded to accuse Councilman Wenzel. Any discussion? Everyone stand. Any opposed? Approval of the agenda. I'm asking just the agenda to executive session. Go to new business this evening. So we have 42 to reserve the reserve to discuss litigation, future litigation in the city. Seconded to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? Public comment period. This is time for the public to make comments on the agenda items. You would like me to comment, you can raise your time. Limit it to minutes. And keep excuses. Sure. Question on ordinance. Can you just transferring? Right. Ordinance 1382. Is there a question on it? The ordinance. No resolution 2026. We have questions on it.
Any other public comments on agenda items? Did you have questions on those?
I don't know what the ordinance or resolution is, so I'm looking again.
Thank you for bearing with us. We'll address those coming up in just a bit. Any other public comments this evening on agenda items? Hearing none, moving.
Are
Oh,
we able to get, Ashley Archangel, are we able to get a copy of the ordinances before we discuss them?
well, they are on the website now. We fixed the link, so they are there. I don't have a printer here in this office to make paper copies, but they are on the agenda packet on the website now, and there can be plenty of time to read through them prior. Moving on to consent agenda, claims vouchers and meeting minutes from the March 15th meeting. What's the council's pleasure?
I got one thing to clean up on the minutes from the last meeting. Councilmember Robinson excused myself and Councilmember Carlisle. However, I am down as voting yes on excusing myself.
Oops.
So I don't think I was here to excuse myself.
No, it automatically does it when we remove it, populates the name.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent agenda with the adjustment as pointed out by Councilmember Ansich?
Make a motion, we accept the agenda with the motion to administrative.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as amended. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Committee reports. We'll start off with the Finance Subcommittee. Councilmember Wenzel's not here. Okay,
We had a meeting, we went over the audit update, the 2022 annual report, the March financials, and we also discussed the volunteer compensation plan, which is on the agenda. So that will get discussed a little later, and Julie's gonna touch on a couple other things.
thank you. Well, I got you there. Parks, Rec, and Cemetery.
We had a quick meeting to discuss the dumping signs that are faded along the drive. We decided not to replace them at this time because there's a dumping along that area issue. If it ever becomes an issue at a later time, we will replace them. And that's basically all we talked about.
Public Works.
No meeting report.
That, Public Safety. Councilmember Carlin.
I think we didn't have a meeting. The meeting never worked.
Moving on to City Official Reports, City Administrator Rains.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I want to report on is our new municipal building. We finally have a bid date, and that, not a bid date, first advertisement date, and that is May 5th on a Friday. So it will be advertised for 2 consecutive Fridays with a potential, we're going back and forth on the 2 different dates for the opening. We want to make sure the contractors have enough time for the bid process, and that'd be either the 17th or 24th. We will make sure that is advertised as soon as we know. So we're finally back ready to get that taken care of. The next thing I want to report on is for Jeff of Public Works. And that is what is report here. An agreement that we have with Department of Transportation. And that is to replace a light and light pole that was damaged, and it has been out for over 3 years. That Department of Transportation would be the contractor on this, and it's in your packet. So the agreement number would be JC 1541, and that is for the state Department of Transportation to replace that, to provide the light standard, to replace it, and replace 3 other lights. The total cost of this would be $8,665. So to be able to do this, we need council approval.
You say that cost again?
$8,665.
And what would that be coming out of?
Street.
Council have any pleasure?
Is this the light pole that was hit by the car down there? Part of that was already, the city was reimbursed through the insurance company for part of that, or any of that?
We never got the money out of the insurance. And we've been trying for the last year to get a contract to do that, but they're having a hard time forcing the overhead style light standard. Well, Department of Transportation has them in the yard up there in Olympia. So that's why, for one, it was quite a bit cheaper by $2,000 to $3,000 worth, and they're readily available this way. So this is, I mean, it's 3 years. Kathy, at least. I have 5, I'm corrected. So,
Make a motion, we approve.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the $8,665 to do the light pole replacement. Discussion.
That comes out of the street fund.
There's enough to cover it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed.
and just the last thing, for anybody that's interested, if you go online and look at our agenda, it does have my report, their written report, as well as the fire chief, police chief, finance director, and a public works superintendent. So there's some other small details. Please take a look at it when you get a chance. We don't talk about every single thing because we don't want to keep you here all night. Somebody said they talk too much, so we just want to make sure you know that information is available. Thank you.
One thing on there, you're requesting a workshop for the next meeting.
Yes, before, and I think we could do it in a half hour. We've got a concern not only with Mill Creek Drive, you know, and the sloughing we've got going up there, but also on Alder Drive. Looking at possibly imposing some weight restrictions and also asking the transit. I'm going to be talking with them ahead of time, asking them to come up with a new route. I don't think it's really that safe for them to be coming along that area above the stairs anymore. So before we make the final determination, I think we need to brief you some more on that. We'll be getting pictures and things, but that process has started. I think a half hour should cover it.
So council workshop 6:30 on May 17th. Thank you. Moving on to fire chief, Nick Valley.
Thank you. Later on in the agenda, we do have 3 different mutual aid agreements coming up, so we'll talk about those more specifically. I did want to let the full council know, I did let public safety committee know that Deputy Chief Terabaki and his wife have pulled accepted positions out of the area. Have moved out of the area for the time being. So he is no longer with the fire department as of April 1st. I did try to figure out if this was a cruel April Fool's joke, and it was not, unfortunately. So I just really want to thank him for all that he's done for the city over the course of the last year. We've been going hard with our annual maintenance. Sandy has been doing a lot of work, getting everything scheduled, making sure that we're getting all of our requirements done. Both of the fire engines were company tested last week and passed with flying colors, so we're happy with that. No major repairs anticipated on those this year, so that's usually when we find out when there's major issues. with those rigs. And then we've also scheduled for the end of May to have L&I come in and do a compliance walkthrough of the station. Now that we have the police department in here as well, we just want to make sure that we're doing everything correctly. Standard. And report.
Thank you. Public Works Superintendent Nations is not here. Is there anything you want to touch on with that? Water meters?
Just that they've got, I think, 5 water meters left to do in the whole system. All the private accounts are done. These are meters like for places in the parks where we use water for watering or things like that, or the restrooms. So all the customer accounts are done. We've been waiting on that for 4 years. And the guys just started in January and just pretty much put everything else on hold, to get that done. So I want to commend them. With that, they've had a few plug sewers they've had to deal with. It's always in the worst time of year, but we will start to get back to normal duties in public works here in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Police Chief Lyman.
Evening, council and public. Just a kind of overview from my written report. We received a $10,000 grant, zero matching funds out of pocket for the city. It's a flow through account to conduct state mandated by the legislature training. So we'll be using that to get that training accomplished and hopefully have some in place for future training. And if those, if anybody's interested, were the ones regarding Article 1310, 1335, 2037, and 5066, which I'll actually look them up. Like a bunch of numbers, it doesn't mean until I read the headlines. Basically, do the intervene and pursuits and other things that doesn't give us what that we have to accomplish. We've gone through our supply of Narcan, which is what we use with opioid overdoses, and we're very confident that we're going to be getting a free, no cost to the city grant to resupply our officers to continue to have that. We've been working to get ourselves completely paperless for issuing citations. It's been a little bit of a challenge. State court keep on changing mandatory fields. We'll have $600, $700, $800 out of pocket in citations for the officers use the next several years. And the forms are now needed to be changed, but they're garbage and they're all over again. So we are almost done being completely paperless with regards to having the forms. And we just will print them in the cars to save money that way. And we're also almost done. It's been got notification of shipment, but for the temporary time that we're in this building and until we're into a new building, we have signed up for the drug take back receptacle to assist with getting medications in general, but specifically narcotics to be properly disposed of. So that program will be available, and anytime the office is open, it'll be open to the public to be able to use that in the lobby. And again, that's a no expense program for the city and a service we hope to be providing that I think is needed in this era. Likely up the calls for Charlotte, but it's only my 9 calls from the last period of time, not counting today and yesterday. So that's it.
Thank you, Chief. Finance Director, Julie Pope.
I'll briefly touch on the audit. It's still in the final review process. So I'm still hoping to hear back from the auditor's office so we can get that finished up. The 2022 annual report is nearly completed. I just got a note to finish up, then I'll be able to submit that. As far as the financials go, the general fund is down $92,000 for the first quarter of the year. Biggest impacts has been on utility tax, on electricity, and sales tax. One thing I was looking at when I was going over the financials is that the money for the new building is currently sitting in the city's savings account, which only earns 0.04% interest. And our local government investment pool is currently earning 4.753% interest. So I would like the city to ask the city council permission to move those funds into that investment pool so that it can make more than $200 a month.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second that. Moved and seconded to move those funds into the
Local government.
local government investment pool. Any discussion?
Just for clarification purposes, we can, excuse me, move that money at any given point in time, right?
Absolutely.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed.
Okay, I have one more ask of the city council. Currently in our utility bills, we have 13.5% utility tax. 6% of that goes to streets, 5% goes to equipment reserve, and 2.5% goes to the fire equipment fund to help pay for the fire truck. While the mill is down, I would like to ask the city council if we can take the 5% that goes into equipment reserve and put it into our general fund to help it out just until the mill opens back up. It's not a lot of money, but every little bit helps the general fund right now. On average, it would be roughly $5,500 a month.
When we say open back up, like full operation.
Right, full operation. Yeah.
Do we have any timeline?
No, but I'll discuss that. Oh,
And we're not currently looking at any expenditures this year from the equipment reserve account.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
moved and seconded to approve moving the 5% allocation for equipment reserve into the general fund until Cosmo Specialty Fibers is back up and in operation. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed.
One more thing real quick. This is spring cleanup week. You guys have 2 days left, so please come by City Hall and get your voucher if you haven't already.
Thank you.
That's it.
Moving on to the mayor's report, and I've only got a few things. One, I feel it's safe to say that a lot of you here tonight have concerns about the Hope project that's still in the planning stages within city limits. I just want to let you know that today, City Administrator Rains and I joined other officials who had some concerns about the project in a meeting with the Hope team to get an update. And at this time, the project proceeds as planned, as we've been told. It does seem to adhere to the zoning rules for that area. That being said, we are still watching it and in those discussions. And I know that there was a petition that was being sent around, and that is going to be passed along to the Planning Commission as well. If the project does come under their review, that way they have knowledge of it and the citizens' concerns. As far as Cosmo, like everybody, we're anxiously awaiting that full start back up again. Myself and City Administrator Rains are meeting with the new ownership with Charlestown Investments soon, next week, planned, and so we'll get hear their actual timeline and some plans and know how long their process is. Other than that, I think I've covered it before. So we are gonna, at this time, move into executive session. This is executive session under RCW 42.30.110 to discuss litigation or potential litigation involving the city. I anticipate this will only be 10 minutes. So we're gonna have to clear the hall, and then we'll return in 10 minutes. So we will reconvene at 7:36.
That's why you're full of fun. After I've got food. He doesn't want to fight. Oh, yeah, you can- we're good for the party. And maybe- Migrant. Yeah.
36, call the meeting back to order. Councilmember Robinson stepped out for just a moment. Again, if anybody needs bathrooms through that door, if you are in need of a bio break. We're gonna wait just a moment before he comes back, before we start looking at any business, but he should be just a second. And again, the agenda is online, and apologies for that packet having some sort of error in it, but it is available online if anybody wants to read through the items. Yes, well, we've got three. We can start without Councilmember Robinson. So item A, the Region 3 Omnibus Mutual Aid Agreement, and I will go to City Administrator Rains. Discuss this.
Mayor, this is a mutual aid agreement between the city and surrounding agencies, as well as the Department of Homeland Security. This is an agreement that a lot of our surrounding agencies have been in since January 10th of 2019. This is set to expire on the 31st of this year, but there is also, unless otherwise agreed upon, provision for this to be extended in 5-year increments. The good thing about this is that we have an incident here and we need help. This will bring a team of professionals in many different areas. It could be engineering, it could be emergency management. What else is
Yeah, fire law.
fire law? It could be anything. If we were inundated with whatever disaster, they'll come in and give us 24 hours right off the bat until we can then figure out what our next plan of attack. So this could be very beneficial to our city. If we have an incident, say like we did in 2007, when the dam burst, or 2008, when we lost the power, or actually vice versa. So, but anyway, we could have used that help then tremendously, and I think this would be very beneficial and a cost savings to the city. So I would request that we pass this.
And there's a flip side to the omnibus agreement of when you're providing mutual aid, it does create a funding mechanism that if, let's say you need to send law enforcement to Thurston County for an event, because it's helping Security Region 3, made up of Great Harbor, Thurston, Lewis, Pacific, and Mason counties. But the agencies that you're entering into this agreement with, that it allows for us to be able to build back through this agreement over that time if certain funding mechanisms are approved throughout this office. So there's a lot of different things that this encompasses, not just accepting mutual aid, but also giving away aid. And then as Darren was mentioning, it does include the access to Homeland Security Region 3 Incident Management team with the type 3 team that can come in and organizing events.
Nick with his day job works with these folks regularly for the counties, so.
I'm the plan chief on the incident management team, so I do all the planning for the team. And then I'm also on the committee for Homeland Security Region 3 as a
For the county.
for the county, yes. Up here.
Are other local cities signed off on this? Are the other local cities or any of them signed off on this already?
Yes, this has been a long-standing agreement, this current edition of it's the 2019. I think the most notable use that we've had recently through this agreement would actually be the COVID-19 response. So especially when we did the mass vaccination site, this is the agreement that we used, that we were able to hire ambulances to go down there and staff that site. This is what allowed that. And this was also that event was the catalyst for getting a lot of cities who weren't on it into that agreement.
One more, what's the cost or is there a cost to be a part of it?
No, this is mutual aid, so we're just trying to encourage having this done up ahead of time, so we're not entering into an emergency agreement. And another recent example would be the Montana Health and Rehab Fire. We use this agreement heavily when we dumped Thurston County resources into the city of Montana for that initial fire attack. Then when we did the mobilization of the ambulance later, that's going to be covered under the Washington State Patrol agreement, which is the next agreement on the list.
What is the council's pleasure on this Region 3 Omnibus Mutual Aid Agreement?
I move that we pass this agreement.
Moved and seconded to sign on to the Region 3 Omnibus Mutual Aid Agreement. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Back to you, Chief, for the Washington State Patrol Fire Mobilization Agreement.
So this agreement is in the city of Cosmopolis Fire Department and the Washington State Patrol. In the state of Washington, the state fire marshal office falls under the state patrol. This is typically with the state fire marshal division. What this allows for is it's another mutual aid agreement. And when fires escalate to the point or incidents, it's actually now an all hazard agreement. When incidents escalate to the point of needing outside resources beyond a county's capability, one of the mechanisms that we can use is through the Washington State Patrol Fire Marshal's office and activate other agencies that are within this plan at the state level. So going back to Montana Health and Rehab, that's the agreement that we use to get all the ambulances to that facility and move patients to other counties across the state. And we, like I said, we brought up Pacific County. We dumped most of Thurston County resources, some from Lewis County, Pierce County. And what's nice about this agreement is with it being part of state patrol and it's directly at the legislator, when incidents are approved by mobilization, that's typically 100% cost reimbursed. So all of those ambulances that we use for that agreement were paid for by state patrol for that evening. This also, on the flip side, allows the fire chief of the jurisdiction to activate fire mobilization for the city. So that's something that how the plan is written, or not activate, but request. Only the chief of the state patrol can actually approve it. How the plan's written is the fire chief of the jurisdiction, only person within the city that can make the request. So that's the state plan.
What's the council's pleasure?
I see it's dated from January of this year to December of this year. Why is there?
So with the state patrol contracts, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get everybody on the same 5-year agreement. So all these contracts end at the end of this year, and we're all going to have a fresh contract at the end of this year. The next year, they're going into this 5-year rotation. They've been doing it by the date of signed and then put it out 5 years, and it's gone way out of hand. We have to try to track it.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve the Washington State Patrol Fire Mobilization Agreements. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. I was gonna ask the same thing. Moving on to item D. Item C, a different fire mobilization agreement.
Yes.
Back
So
to you, Pete.
this one is between Grace Harbor County Fire Agency. It's an interagency agreement to allow for different agencies to kind of mix and match. What we ran into last year during fire season is agency would have a brush vehicle available to fight fire, but maybe not personnel. Other departments would have personnel. And there were a lot of emergency contracts entered into just in time to allow for, let's say, myself to drive a city of Aberdeen fire vehicle. When we're doing that in county, it's covered under the county mutual aid agreement. We don't have to worry about that. But if we're going beyond the bounds of Homeland Security Region 3, even within the region, it's now covered under the omnibus agreement. I don't see the city of Cosmopolis necessarily participating a whole lot when it comes to this agreement. This is a new agreement. We just want all the fire departments in the county to sign. You can see in your packet, when we put this together, there's only 2 that have signed on so far. I got the update today, 4 other departments that have approved it this week. We're just going through and getting the signatures at this point. So this allows even Camilo, who just got updated with his red card, if the city of Aberdeen was sending a crew and they needed an extra body, this would allow us to be able to put him on that rig and go to Houston, Washington.
What's the council's pleasure?
Make motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to sign on to the fire mobilization agreement between Grace Harbor Fire Agencies. Discussion. Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? So pass. Now back to you. Ordinance 1382, Cosmopolis Fire Department volunteer compensation.
You want Steve to read it?
Oh, yeah, sorry, sir. Ordinance 1382.
Okay, ordinance number 1382, an ordinance pertaining to the Cosmopolis Volunteer Fire Department, amending section 2.40.070 to the Cosmopolis Municipal Code. Be it ordained by the City Council of Cosmopolis as follows: section 2.40.070 of the Cosmopolis Municipal Code to read compensation. The volunteer firefighters of the department shall be paid quarterly on the basis of a point system, which shall be approved by the city council by resolution. And then the balance of the existing section would be stricken.
And this changes to when it was paid annually, and it just adjusts it to quarterly point system at request of the chief. What's the council's pleasure?
Make a motion that we pay them quarterly.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 1382 and adjust Cosmopolis Municipal Code for compensation of Cosmopolis volunteer fighters. Any discussion?
I got one, if we could put a P on the word past.
Yeah.
That would look a lot better.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
Asked and approved. Yeah, yeah. Any further discussion? Anybody want to change it back? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So, item E, resolution 2023-02 regarding Cosmopolis volunteer firefighter compensation.
Okay, the previous ordinance provides that the compensation will be set by the council by resolution. So this is the resolution. A resolution setting the compensation of the Cosmopolis Volunteer Fire Department. Section 1, the total annual amount to be paid to the Cosmopolis Fire Department for compensation of volunteer firefighters shall be $10,000. And then section 2, The individual compensation paid to each volunteer firefighter shall be in accordance with the Cosmopolis Fire Department Volunteer Compensation Program, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. And that is the two-page document that's attached to the resolution.
And that's available if anybody would like to look at it based on level of experience, level of response, so on and so forth. What is the council's pleasure on this resolution?
Make a motion. to pass this resolution.
Moved and seconded to approve resolution 20. I think it was Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Approving resolution 2023-02. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Thank you, Chief. Moving on down the table, to Chief. This
This is Chief Lehman.
for the, item F, police employee agreement, amended. Chief?
This is what you guys already approved at the previous council meeting. The contract that coincided with it, needed some language cleanup that the city attorney gave you guidance on, and we did, and submitted and approved. I'm just asking for your approval of what you already approved, but it's a new contract.
I'll make a motion that we pass this.
Moved and seconded to approve the police employee agreement. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Council comments this evening. We'll move down the, we'll start with Councilmember Robinson.
No, I think this is great, having this many people show up for the council meeting. I appreciate all of you taking your time to be here.
Councilmember Anthony.
I just got one thing, I spoke to you about this for the meeting. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I didn't appreciate hearing on Facebook and then having citizens calling me about Project Hope. I would hope that in the future, things like this do come up, that you can pick up the phone and call your council. That's all I got.
Understood. And heard. Thank you. Councilmember Carlisle. Councilmember Marcus.
No comment.
On to public comments. This is time for the public to comment on anything city related. Again, we ask you limit it to 3 minutes. Introduce yourself prior to your comments, and floor is open.
So I'm gonna go for my back of it for anyone, because I think it really involves everybody in the room. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Linda Springer. I live here in Cosmopolis, been very active in the city for quite some time. Some of you already have this, it's being passed out to the council and all the city members still. And before I go into the information, there's a letter that needs to be read out publicly, from my understanding, that this goes, all this information is put on public record, and for that to happen, I am told that somebody up here needs to read this letter to the audience. Is that correct?
If you would like, I can do
Please.
that.
Please do that.
The city of Cosmopolis, Mayor Kyle Pauley, Julie Pope, and Cosmopolis City Council. I am writing this letter regarding the petition of concerns and the zoning of 201 First Street, Parcel 2. We, the citizens who signed the petition, do not support the Hope Project or the rezoning of said property listed in this letter. We are requesting that this information and these petitions be submitted to public records. Thank you, Linda Springer. The 237 concerned citizens listed in petition.
Thank you. So at this time, we do have 237. I've been contacted all day. I picked up these petitions. The petition is going to continue to go around. I would say the majority of the city is not behind it. I cannot speak for that. I would not speak for anyone. I do want to let you know, I did talk to the council. I've spoken to other cities. No one knew about this. The planning commission did not know about this. back in 2022, our mayor felt fit to support this project for financial funding for this city. Onto the second page, you can see the public notice of concerns. When he says it's not zoned, if that's the case, then I think we need to have a public forum for this community. And let's talk about that zoning. Back in 2020, there was a comprehensive, extensive plan for the waterfront property. We all know how we're struggling for revenue, and this is not going to be revenue. It does not fit into the zoning. And if Mayor Polly says it does, then let's have a public forum. Let's bring a zoning map out. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about these investors. This money is coming from the county. Do you think that this city is going to see any revenue? It's not going to happen. You as taxpayers are going to be paying. I know a lot of people said, not in my backyard. We can't say that, but what we can say is this is not zoned. It does not fit into the long-term goal of the revitalization for precious, vital waterfront property that needs to be improved and bring revenue into this community. And in the event that this housing project come in, I was a social worker for 14, 15 years. I've seen the works of it. I worked along police officers, firemen. I've been in situations that you can't even imagine. I advocate to help people. If this were to come into this community, these investors are in here for money. When I met with one of the investors, and I'll say, Sean Robo, I am open. And I asked a list of concerns I'd like to see on that site to ensure public safety for our community and success for those residents. I was told that wasn't going to happen. I was told that wasn't going to happen by the mayor. So you as citizens, if you support this, that is, you can. But if you don't, talk to your neighbor. Get this signed. Be vocal. We have a right to know what is happening in our community. We have a right to look at projects that bring revenue to our community. That waterfront should be beautiful. It is prime real estate. And if this goes through, we need to have a public forum with all parties involved. The health department, the city, the zoning, everybody, the investors, and citizens to know that you're safe and the residents have the best services to be successful. Not just leaving that building to go the wraparound service, because we all know what it looks like when someone leaves Cosmopolis. Thank you.
Would you like this to go into public record? Are you gonna keep getting signatures, or do you want?
You can put that in. Yes, I'm gonna keep getting signatures. And we've had lots of people.
Yeah.
And so I ask respectfully, Kyle, Mayor Polly, that when you think of this community, you look out and you think of these faces. You look at your council. This isn't about you climbing the ladder. This is about what is best for this community. Thank you.
I can say much of the concerns that you shared were shared with the organizers at our meeting today, and we share many of them. And I will put
So
this.
what, can you tell me what kind of
No,
questions you ask investors that they'd have on site? Could you? show me that?
I cannot share their personal business plan and things, but I know it doesn't mean a lot, but I can say that I shared with your concerns, and we are ongoing discussions, and I will put this in a public record, and if it does get to planning will make sure to get a copy of this to know how the citizens feel.
So let me ask you, do you still support this project?
I support these transitional housing projects.
You still support this project?
I support these transitional housing projects, and I don't have a say in if they do what's legally available on their property.
You can keep throwing out legal, but it's not morally right, and you're not thinking about the community.
I understand your perspective.
Thank you.
Anybody else, comments? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Carl, Perry, 100 Bell Drive. Got about three things. Number one is Portland Springer and her efforts. Number two, it's been, gosh, maybe since the first of the year, we haven't seen
council minutes posted at the post office, and I don't know why, but I know I did 2 days a week. I'm there between 11:30 time. I hear a lot of comments that are not very pleasant. So
They're
maybe
all
we
online.
get that going again. People like it. I know you've got them in the city hall.
And they're also online.
Not everybody is as computer literate as myself and them, so, and a lot of the other folks in here right now.
Anybody's welcome to Hall City Hall. Be more than happy to print copies for them also, if they would like.
In other words, you're just blowing me off. You don't want to put them out there. Third thing, with no offense to you, Mr. Robinson, no offense intended. Wasn't he appointed to fill an unexpired term, which is 2 more years, but yet he's up for election this time? But I don't understand that. There may be some legal reasons I don't understand.
It is state RCW. If a position is resigned prior to the filing week of the year in which the council is up for election. So if a term gets ended and someone takes over, they're up for election the next time that one of the council.
Okay, thank you.
It's not, the position technically shouldn't be, so either whoever is running for that is running for a short-term, long-term.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, 3 things. First of all, I want to thank Darren.
Can you just, I mean, just for the record, I think, thank you, Kathy.
And Jeff for getting the light finally done, for getting done. Second of all, I'd like to thank Jeff, Jamin, and Tommy for, there was a blowout when they were putting our meter in, and they worked on the line for 2 days. And I just want to thank them for their hard work. It was, and I just want to back up what Linda said. In your words, it is not like same as building a house. Which you said last time. It's no different than building a coffee shop.
Maybe. I'll try.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Tyler. I live at 404 Andrews Avenue, Tylerwood. Do you know the kinds of people that would be moving into this project Hope Home if it were to be built? What their offenses would be? Would there be any regulations on what kind of offender other than just low risk?
Yes, so even talking with them today and reconfirming that, so I guess low risk offenders, so non-violent, non-sexual predator, non-arsonist, non-felony. Similar to drug court offender, things like that. I mean, I don't like non-violent under the technical terms, so non-felony and those types.
And then
So that's under their plan as it's been presented.
okay, so they're good guys that went to prison. So in your letter, you said that you support this. And you said I do too, which I do not. Would like to ask, how long have you lived in Cosmopolis?
15 years.
So you lived somewhere prior to that. What was your reason for moving here, if you don't mind?
My last apartment, the building sold, and so I started renting here.
In the years past, compared to other places lived and things, you probably have heard or knew that Cosmopolis was a low crime, good community to live in. That I would probably say that everybody in Grace Harbor knows that. One of the favored places to live, I guess, as far as a nice community. Why would you want to bring in felons in coming through on a regular cycle? Why would you support that?
Non-felons.
Okay, non-felons, so convicts.
I guess, I mean, not normally, this is not usually a time for public comment, but I know this is a big issue, and so I will respond that. Same reason as I stated in the letter, that so as it sits right now, if anybody gets out of prison or is in drug court or is a current, past, or future criminal, they can live wherever they want as long as laws don't dictate that they can't, and that's very limited. This would be a transitional program for people to lower recidivism. So these are people that are working to better themselves and are looking to be a part of the community. This is a program to help those to lower those crime rates. So as it sits right now, anybody, if they got out of prison for murder tomorrow, there's nothing to stop them from moving in next to you or me or Darren or wherever, anybody. This is not addressing those people by any means. These are the people that I think that I'm going to generalize that we've all known somebody who has either had to go to drug court or as part of their process that they need to reestablish themselves into the community. This would be a program that would assist them with that, with monitors on site. They would have drug testing. They would have those types of things. So this is an assistance program.
And one last thing. So if I went to prison for anything and got out, I believe that all my family and friends would take me in. So I have a hard time believing that if these people are so safe, that they don't have one person that's gonna help them. So in turn, they're gonna rely on my tax dollars and your tax dollars to pay for them to live. So you said that somebody gets out of prison that they could go live anywhere they want. Yeah. But we are going to use our tax dollars to build them a facility to live in. That's not going and living wherever they want. That's doing something for them with other people's money. So I guess you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around how this could benefit anybody besides some guys that went, or girls, I don't know, that went to prison for something that was bad enough to get them put in prison. So I guess that's it.
No, I agree with you that it is solely to help them. It would pay the Department of Corrections. I think it's paying some of them or all of their rent and everything. And it is not something that is a massive benefit to anybody other than these people, to lower recidivism and to help them get back on their feet and become a member of society so they can assist us in the future.
And it is all nonprofit.
It would be run by a nonprofit, but there's tax dollars that are paying for.
And the owner of the property would be, that'd be one of the donators, I guess, or being like donating the land at that point.
No, the land has been purchased and Hope is operating it. And they would be, there's a whole long.
And do the landowners make any money, like, we'll say rent or being paid for these people to live there?
I don't know the ins and outs of it would be a nonprofit, but it would be a business, and I don't have their financials or the entire breakdown. The plan is presented to the county, but I'm not one to speak on the ins and outs of what
The tax address for that property currently is just like a resident home in Montesano. Doesn't really seem like a nonprofit organization to me, just somebody's house, but
Well, they don't have an office. This is their first project under this banner.
thank you.
Yes,
Kim Gerner, 1623 Turnberry Street. I just want to understand the statement you just made. Is it you agree that this project brings no value to the city, only to the people that live there?
it doesn't bring any specific value to the city. It's not like we're getting funds, like I'm not getting paid for it, that they would be paying property taxes, and they would be.
So no value to improve the city of Cosmopolis?
I can't say that a private business or a private nonprofit has to do certain things, that they're the legal owners, and if it's legally zoned and it falls under all the rules.
No, I just wanted to restate that
that it is specifically for these people to lower recidivism. It is not a providing some specific benefit to the city or anything.
Thank you.
Linda Springer.
You have hit your time, you know that, but I mean, I'm gonna give you some time, but,
Well, hopefully you won't gavel me off this time.
well,
So,
I
with
hope not
that,
to.
with that said, I had an extensive meeting with one of the owners in person, Sean Rowe. I also spoke for about an hour with Derek, who had me talk with Sean. Sean is a long time investor in this type of property for profit. Don't kid yourself if he's not in it for profit. When coming from a social worker background, really serving people, trying to make a difference and understanding what the law enforcement, what firefighters deal with on a daily basis. And what these individuals, I mean, I have friends and family who, you know, can't have people in their house because they're not the same. Recidivism is high. If you look at the numbers, this project is supposed to house, per Sean Robles' statement, 19 to 20 individuals.
That's not true.
Don't
I-
say
but-
that to me. I met with.
Well, I just talked to him just
Good. I don't know what
hours
he's
ago.
talking- I don't know how much research. It sounds like, to be quite honest, to be respectful, Mayor, that you haven't done a lot of research. into this.
I'm going,
So,
okay, Linda, I'm not gonna gavel you, but I'm gonna cut you off, that I understand your position on this. Like I said, that I met with them hours ago. I have gotten the updated figures, I've gotten everything, and I have been following this. And to think that I'm not researching this, or I've been put no thought into this, or any research, or research the zoning of the laws is completely erroneous.
I'm
So
wrong.
and I mean this without any disrespect. I know far more about this project than you do. And that 19 number is not correct. It
Are
is,
you, so let me ask you one more thing before I see this. The other question I asked him, I said, what like support system will you have in place in this building? Are you going to have mental health? Are you gonna have any crisis management, any drug and alcohol? Are you going to have any of this in place? I was told no, they will leave the facility. They will go to wraparound services in Aberdeen that's already so extended. And then they're going to go back and forth to this. There's not gonna be a curfew, my understanding is. It's going to be a person who has had addiction to monitor the house. If you do not think our officers are not going to be called to that house on a routine basis, I guess I'm a
Right.
fool to think that. However, yes, I've been doing a lot of research, as
Well,
have you.
I understand what you're saying, but again, this is not, they're just letting them out on day visit from the jail. These are citizens, they again can live wherever they want. We cannot impose that they have to have like an armed guard in front or anything. We've talked to them today and we have asked for more kind of an overview of what their plans are. They are working on that right now and they plan on doing more public meetings to answer those questions, and they have those answers. I can't speak for what you spoke to them about in these private conversations. All I know is what I've had the conversations and the researches that I've done, and
Have you thought about inviting them so the community can have an answer? Have you thought about open forum?
we were just talking about that today. That would be something on them rather than us, because this is not a city project by any means. This is just somebody who owns land who wants to put something in town. But
Again,
that is
you.
in the planning to do these public meetings and things. So any other public comment this evening? Here, yes,
Ashley Arkansas is having, I've been
excuse me.
trying as well many times before discussing issues on my street. And I would like to formally request to have a workshop for this. I would like to show documents and discuss things and have a two-way conversation instead of having a one-way directed conversation where no one answers me back. I would like to formally request that.
I think your your letter, and we are gonna be sending that to planning to look at the variants, and things like that, and you're more than welcome to come to that. I don't have a
I would
date.
like to have specific workshop for the issues that I've addressed and brought up.
Or even, sorry.
Yeah.
For.
I'm not sure.
That information I sent you guys from Ashland.
Oh, about the easement. Well, we have a workshop on that.
Yeah, it's not, that's not traditional, because it's not, that's something that would go to committee or go to, if. for variance.
It's not a variance. For a variance. For you guys to provide easements for access.
How is the city supposed to give easements across people's private property?
When there's already a public utility,
It's a utility easement for the city.
as they've done. They're asking for easement. So that becomes a public issue when the easement is issued to the city of Cosmopolis and not to a private property owner. This
Well-
is not just about a driveway or someone's access. This is about getting people's utilities so we can get revenue from property taxes and getting building permits put into place. We have been denied that and told it was civil.
Well,
So I would like to understand more. So I would like to have a discussion about this with my city.
we will, I will look over it again. Apparently I misunderstood what the intent of it is, but I will read through it again. And we will schedule a time, to have a discussion.
When will I have feedback on when that will be
Well, I've got to read through it and everything, so it's gonna be a couple days before I get,
before we can schedule a workshop?
before we can schedule a meeting to talk about it.
I would like it to be a public workshop. I would like what I'm discussing.
Well, I will look it over and we'll see if that's even appropriate or not. We don't just schedule workshops just because,
Just because
I-
I've obviously been talking about this for 2.5 years.
correct.
You guys all know who I am, you know exactly the issue I'm discussing. Well, now we're discussing future building in the city that's being prohibited by the city. So the annexation of my property no longer has access to the parcels that are needing to be built on. So we would like to discuss that publicly, and I would like people to have feedback so they can actually talk about it.
I will look it over and see if that is appropriate. And I will let you know.
I would also like to ask specifically, the zoning requirements you've discussed, can we please expand on that for the public as to why, for the Hope project, what specifically is allowable? And what will it take for the city to actually take action and listen to the citizens when they're saying, we don't want this in our town? What will it take? Legally, RCW wise, what will it take to stop this project? What would that take? What ordinance could pass? What zoning requirements are different? There's enough people speaking up and saying something that, what can we do? Instead of just voicing our anger, what next step can we take to block this?
It would have to be something very specific.
Well, King Johnson might be able to
Yeah,
answer that.
well,
Like, that's all.
well, again, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Or I guess I have looked into this as well. And I haven't seen anything, but, I'll discuss it, see if it is, but it seems like it would be very pointed and it may be grandfathered in already, because of it, but I will, no, because he's the city attorney, he's not, attorney.
That's the reason you determine the zoning was appropriate.
That's not, he will discuss and, I will look into it more and see if
What
there's,
kind of things coming out of Steve Johnson's office that are.
well, that's because he's our attorney.
It's not fair or legal, but it is Steve Johnson. Thank you.
All right, Yes.
My name is Molly Nelson, I live on Ocean Avenue. I brought my daughter here tonight. Do you have kids, Pal?
I do not.
Right. I do. I'm a single mom. I have one daughter. She goes to Cosmopolis Elementary School. She's been there since kindergarten. Anybody else here uncomfortable with having their kids in this community with a halfway house coming in? Absolutely. So if enough of us are uncomfortable with it, why wouldn't the city look into a way of doing what the citizens want and stopping this project? It sounds to me like you're just you blew Ashley off, you blew Linda off, you're just blowing us off.
I will respect I just saw this tonight. So this
We
is,
just heard about this project 2 days ago.
well, but this, I mean, speaking of like, why are we not listening to the citizens? I heard about this tonight. It was posted online. It was not available for me to see, so this is the first time that I am seeing it. You read it? No, the petition. I'm saying, you're talking about the, listening to the citizens. Again, this is the first time I'm seeing this a couple hours ago, or an hour ago. So look at it. I'm reading it. It's in public documents. There's not anything that I can just make some sort of unilateral decision tonight as far as this. I am listening, I am reading through it, we're looking at options, but.
I did ask to be put on the agenda tonight. I have been put on the agenda for many things, as you know, renovation of the park, sharing information. New businesses come into our community, they're able, I was asked, I called Monday morning at 8:45 to be asked to send this packet. And I was told that can no longer happen, probably because I was dabbled off last time.
That is,
However-
that is not correct.
So with that said, yes, you were seeing this packet now. You would have had it Monday. Had you allowed for me as a citizen to present information to the council and to the rest of the staff?
You are more than welcome to present things at any time. This is a meeting for city action. This is a request. I understand its passion. I understand, but there's not an action item, and this is not something for the city council. We'll look into it. If we need to come back to it, we will, but it's that's not.
You feel this is the action item? How do you feel?
This is not a town hall. We can discuss it afterwards, and this is again not a workshop, and this is not. It is what it is, but I've heard you, and I'll look into it, and we'll discuss it more. I saw a hand in the back.
Hi, this is the first meeting I've attended, and I've only been here.
Can you introduce
Yeah,
yourself?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
Just give me a minute. So, I moved into 711 Ocean Avenue, so technically right now, I believe you have at least 4 residents up on the hill here tonight. And my issue doesn't have anything to do with the building that's actually going down there, which I also don't approve of. But tonight, I was I know that you're super happy about the street light going up. What I'm not happy with is our road that continually is overlooked and is just filled and it comes undone and we have these potholes and it gets filled. And this has been going on for the year. I mean, I've only been here for a year and a half. Well, I don't know how long it's been going on before me, but there's a couple of sections that need to be cut out and repaved. Or like whole streets, really, but those sections really need to get redone. So my concern here is if we're gonna keep filling it and it's gonna keep popping, do we send you guys our bills for our cars, for our tires, for our alignment?
Are you speaking about Ocean Avenue?
I'm talking about Corbin.
Oh, I was saying, Ocean's a private road.
So is Corbin, we just have easements across that.
So it's a private road. It's within the city, but it's not a city
No,
road.
It's not a private road. Corbin
It
is,
They're private roads with easements for the city for utilities, ingress and egress
maintaining the roadway.
on Corbin.
Corbin is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about on
The other
Corbin.
ones are non-exclusive easement, meaning we don't have the exclusive right to grant access to anybody else.
I don't know.
All of the.
Oh, can you say your name for the record?
Yeah, I'm gonna say our roads.
Up there. Are they gonna use Corbin or are they gonna go back to the trailer? Is there any other way? In Corbin? Yeah. Corbin.
No.
The streets down here.
Yeah.
Perhaps. You've seen our budget reports lately of what we're taking in for streets.
You just allotted thousands put in light posts, which I am like super happy that you did that, because obviously you really want that light post. But you're talking about people that live in that area, and every single person has to drive over that every single day.
Yeah, I get it.
So I'm asking, if you're not gonna fix that road, then we just start sending our bills.
If we had money to pay him, we'd pay him.
Or you have money to
Where are we
send
gonna
somebody
get
else.
the money?
Well,
Phil, where
yeah.
are we gonna get the money?
I
Budget conditions we've had.
will,
I don't think people understand.
yeah, we'll we'll look into it more. I'm not familiar. I haven't been on to Corbin in some, like, at least a couple months, and so I'm not sure of the current condition. We'll go up there and I'll have Public Works look at it as well. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Have you actually read the Cosmopolis revitalization study done in 2020?
Yes. Yeah, I think,
You can let that quick get built. The whole thing was supposed to be bring business into town.
and
Again,
I completely understand the public's frustration. I do. But it is a business. Like, we may not like it, but we may not like the.
They told me I couldn't do nothing with it. That's why it got sold. I'll tell you, I'll stand up, I'm Sean Bridges, 825 Stanford Drive. I've owned it for the last 20 years, when it was Okie Dokie Cafe, the A-frame. All I've got was, I have a bunch of letters from the city, this stick of mowing it. Cedar Works told me the mow property wasn't even mine, and Jason, I deal with these, I consider them clowns, but you know, maybe the different faces up here. That's the problem. I wanted to build this, it used to be zoned commercial residential, now it's on waterfront. I wanted to do mini storage. No, you can't do this, I can't do that. So I got tired of fighting the city. Somebody came up, Sean came up and said, and I purchased this. Yeah, I'll sell it. He didn't tell me what he was wanting to do with it until after it's done. And I heard the same as you, that what they're gonna do with it. But maybe you guys should be open for the community to let us bring business and not reject it all. Okay, but I did have it for 20 years. And I can bring the letters down and show you guys the stack of letters that they sent me. Thank you very much.
Okay, John.
We'll absolutely go on.
Oh, yes.
Hi, sorry, I raced over here from Cherry Street in Aberdeen.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sarah Law.
Thank you, sir.
My new address here in Cosby in 17. For sale, I believe. We are running from a halfway house. We came home last May from a vacation. My husband and I, and the house across the street from us that had been for sale for some time, had been sold. We got out of our vehicles and were told by our neighbor that, this was going to be a home for newly released prisoners. The next day, we were told it was going to be a home, and this is all by people who are working at this house, that it was going to be a sober living house. A couple days later, it was going to be a house for drug court people. Okay, fine. The things that were going on in this house, the city of Aberdeen red flagged this door numerous times. The owner of the home, Howard Vaughn, who has 6 halfway houses in the vicinity of this house on Cherry Street and around the corner from McDermott. The people in these houses come and go. They say that there's a house manager. There's no house manager. The house manager that was there was taking part in everything. My daughter, the reason why we moved to Cosby was because my 12-year-old daughter couldn't even go outside in our front yard without 7 to 8 men coming outside to watch her. She couldn't even go out and build a snowman when it snowed this last time. We came home from the vet with our dog. These guys didn't see me get out of the rig, but they saw her and our St. Bernard get out. And she says, Mom, can I just walk the dog to the end of the block? And I said, okay. As I'm coming around the back of my rig, the house manager comes outside, sees her walking down the street and runs right back in and says, she's out here. She's out here, guys. 7, 8 men come out and watched my 12-year-old daughter walk her dog down the street until I came around my rig and let them know who I was and that they were not going to do that to a 12-year-old girl, let alone it be my daughter. So I grew up in Cosby in the trailer park, safest neighborhood. So my husband and I got our butt kicked, decided we need to move out of the house that we raised all 3 of our kids in for 24 years. And we bought a house here in Cosby. And I'll tell you,
You guys have absolutely no idea what you're in for if you let this place in your community. I am telling you, I could sit here all damn night and tell you what we have gone through, what we have seen, what we have reported, what we've gone through with the city of Aberdeen. These guys who built these homes, or whatever they're called, they get $40,000 per person. Per person. These guys, we've watched these guys be arrested. We've watched these guys party out in front of the house until, oh God, 30 in the morning. But then the next day, we're told that, you know, oh no, they gotta be in by 9. They were in by 9, really? Well, that's not what my cameras said. That's why I've got cameras literally around the entire vicinity of my home, because in 24 years, we have never had any problems. But in 1 week of that house, my foster daughter, who was my niece that lived with us at the time, her bike was stolen. I mean, like I said, the girl couldn't even go outside and play in the front yard. I'm literally scared to death that this comes to Causey because you guys have absolutely no idea what you're in for. Absolutely no idea. And it's all about this. And it's all about these guys, because you allow one of these houses in Causey, you're gonna have 6 to 7 in a 6-block radius, just like us. They're everywhere. You allow one, the other one comes. You allow 2, it's all this. 40 grand per person. It's all about money. And you guys have no idea the danger. The court, drug court, those guys are a joke. I will say it right now. We watch those guys. Yeah, if you want to get, you know, your life together, great, great. I am all for it. I am 10 years clean off opiates this July. I get it. I wanted to do better. I wanted my life back. These guys, this is nothing but just a transition. Because they do wrong, they get transitioned to the next house of the block. It's a cancer that will be in this community. I'm telling you what.
I'd love to talk to you after the meeting, about.
My husband would have been here, guys, but he got called into work. He's a longshoreman, so he got called into work, but, I was watching on Zoom, and you guys have no idea what we've been through.
Well, I'd love to sit down with you either after tonight or at another day with you and
I
your
would
husband or
love it
whatever.
if my husband could be present.
Yeah, we'll schedule something, but I would love to hear more about your story. Yes.
Brian Allen, Dundee Drive, so maybe we could, you can get a community forum together or a town meeting, discuss this a little more thoroughly, and maybe you guys can come up with a plan to make this right.
I know that there is those types of meetings in place. I don't have anything right now, but again, looking at this, I'll look more at other things, and I will see what we can do. Because I know I hear the public, see the public. I mean, obviously, you're all here. I've gotten called, I've got tons of messages over the weekend. You are very much heard. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Can council not, create a new city ordinance that bans this kind of place within when and legally ban it, because of the city ordinance? Is there a law saying that you can't do that?
There's a state law.
Unless there's sex offenders there, then you could ban that, but you can't ban. Sex offenders is the only way that you could ban it. Correct.
As far as I know and that I've seen and looked up, but I'll look more and see what I can find, and look at other experiences, and we'll talk and see if there's something else, but as it sits, it's a legal business that wants to come to town. Whether we like it or not, it is a legal business, so there's not a whole lot you can really do.
Again, it doesn't fit within the zoning.
That is your opinion. But I your opinion is heard. So calling it is 8:35 and oh, yes,
Hi, Steve Davis, Cosmopolis. For quite a while, we've had a problem getting the agendas posted, the minutes posted online after the events and things like that. You were on the radio a month ago, talking about the problems inside of the company running the internet, the website. You're on Johnny Manson's show, spoke to that. They called finance director the next day, she apologized, said it was her fault that those things hadn't been put online. And she did it right away, which I appreciate. The Open Public Meetings Act has to do with getting your citizens involved in their government. That's what it's about. So can't the council put together a policy around when and where the agenda will be posted? March is available at the post office this morning, if you want to see it. So can't the council put together a policy on when these are posted, where they're posted? How soon we can expect to have the Zoom recordings posted? How soon we can expect to have minutes posted from previous meetings? Tonight, there isn't minutes from previous meetings that are posted. That are not posted as yet. It seems like a fairly minor task, but the reason I even came down, I was watching this from Zoom, but I watched you, Kyle, a little frustrated that you got a document in front of you just now tonight, and you're supposed to maybe make a decision or know what's in there or have something about that. How do you think we feel? The council tonight just voted on several ordinances. The fire chief just put together nicely, I might add, thank you, a bunch of documents. There's a bunch of reading there. You should have, the people of this community should have time to read that before you vote on it. So that when we come in here at the beginning of the meeting, somebody can say, have a little bit of logic and says, oh, Washington State Fire Mobilization Agreement. I was reading that and this is what I think, before you get a chance to vote on it. That's what's fair. So please, council, put together a policy on those documents. Thank you.
I second that.
All in favor?
It is 8:38 and I will call the meeting to a close, but again, if anybody has any comments or wants to reach out and talk, I'm.
Can we request a file hall for the next meeting? Because I think on the